Nsika there, launching our human rights focus here on your view, because over the next 30 days, we'll be taking various conversations that focus on human rights and the culture of human rights in the country and so on. So my guest tonight, Nsika himself, who has written that song that he was playing just now, as well as the Deputy Minister of Social Development and Deputy Minister Bogopane-Zulu. Welcome to Newsroom Africa.
Thank you for having us.
Most definitely. Thank you for the chance to be here.
Thank you, and congratulations on a wonderful song. We'll talk about it just now. Let me start with you, Deputy Minister. Just this whole issue of boys, focusing on boys. Just give me a sense of what you have in mind. Yesterday you had a boys' assembly, right? What are the programs, right, that you are putting in place in the same ilk as that boys' assembly to focus on men, or future men, if you like, right, and how they should conduct themselves, especially around these issues of gender-based violence?
Well, the department, as one of the lead departments in dealing with social structural drivers, because we're the heartbeat of the nation. If social development is healthy, we determine the state of the nation, to say. So in fighting gender-based violence, we took a decision to also focus on men. But when we started focusing on men, rolling out the men's parliament, we realized that it is important to actually also focus on boys. So we then developed the program Men and Boys Championing Change, and the men's one is the parliament, the boys is the assembly, where we actually are investing in a different breed of men. You know, it's very difficult, JJ, for me to say to you, change. There's only so much you can change. So we then said, no, let us invest in Nsika, because at least Nsika will give us a better man in 2030. Because as the department, we need to make sure that as we all invest in the South Africa that we want, we're going to have a healthy a South African that will inhabit that South Africa. So in dealing with social structural drivers, from drugs to bullying, to cyberbullying, to HIV, we are the department that must prevent that. And we are the department that must strengthen families. We are the department that must implement positive parenting. We are the department that must look after the elderly. So in all of that, we must look after the children. We must run the ECTs. So in all of that, we're trying to make sure that we invest in the future so that South Africa looks different than what it does now.
What is the response in terms of the support, right, that NGOs, particularly that focus on the boy child, is receiving? Right now there is this huge drive from the presidency about gender-based violence and so, and about over 1 billion rand has been set aside for that. Is there a designated pool of resources to focus on the boy child? Because often, the issues that focus on, let's say, shelters for abused women, etc., take priority, right? Have you ensured that as the resources are being distributed to people who are going to get on top of this gender violence thing, that the issues or resources are also dedicated to the issue of boy children?
Oh, definitely. The Department of Social Development, we are putting a lot of resources from our own baseline on issues of men and boys. We are making also sure that men and boys are going to have safe spaces. We are making sure they're going to have shelters. Because for us, as women, we have screamed, shouted. There's nothing that we have not done. And to get to the zero gender-based violence, South Africa, we need to take our boys and we need to take our men with us. And that we are definitely putting a lot of resources in the program.
Yeah. And then in terms of mobilizing, I'll come to Nsika now to say that the young people themselves obviously must be engaged, right? As they're saying, it can't be about them without them also being there. Right? Are you satisfied that you are mobilizing enough NGOs for a mindset shift? Because the reality is, if you look at campaigns over the last maybe 10 years or whatever, whether it be 16 days of activism, etc., there's a focus on the girl child most of the time, right? Do you think that there is a shift, a mindset shift? Are you having enough network that can now create that shift so that there's also a focus on boys, Minister?
Yes, definitely. We're not only mobilizing the boys, by the way. In the earlier insert, we were talking about traditional leaders. As social development, we are investing a lot of money on our traditional leaders and on rural communities, precisely for these very reasons. We're making sure that we're not only focusing on mobilizing the boys in urban
area, yeah.
Actually, on the 7th, for an example, we are launching Chomi, which focuses on girls and boys between the ages of 10 and 14, because the boys' assembly is 15 to 24, and the girls, we support them, but the Ministry of Women is leading in that area. Our responsibility is to make sure that our girls that girls and boys, their self-esteem is at the same level. And also, we realize that we are preparing the girls, but leaving the boys alone. And then when they are supposed to fall in love, coexist, the other one's self-esteem is low, the other one's self-esteem is high, and the other one uses power to control the other one. So we're now making sure that we, in the same way we are preparing the girl child, we need to also invest in the boy child. And I must say, we are supporting NPOs.
Yeah.
We're not only talking about the program, we are funding NPOs to run the program because we want to reach every young man right up to the street level.
Yeah. I think that you're going to find a lot of support in that regard, because there are a lot of people who really want to make sure that at the end we've got coexistence. For example, there's a program launched by Rams Mabote called Future Kings. You know, it's in the same theme of saying, here are people now, we need to prepare them to behave better in the future, because as you are saying, by the time they are 30, 40, it's a bit late. So Ntsika, if I may come to you now, tell me what gave you inspiration for this song, right? In terms of it supporting the whole cause of focusing on boy children.
The idea behind this song was to share my personal experience as well as what I've seen around me, in order to encourage people to think about their own stories and to take a look at the country around them and all the social ills that are going on.
Yeah.
In this song, I talk about things like crime, I talk about things like unemployment, HIV, a whole host of things that are wrong with the country at the moment. And the idea behind it was to start the conversation, because often you'll find that people will talk about it and the conversation will filter.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start the conversation and inspire people, because music really does allow you to engage. I wanted to inspire people through the music to think about the ills of the country and to do their part in making the country a better place.
Yeah. In your own circles of friends, I mean, are these conversations happening about young people beginning to see the wrong in something like gender-based violence, even at the young an age as you are?
That is the case, but often you'll find that you have those kind of conversations with specific people who have a specific state of mind. Other people, I would go as far as saying, are ignorant to the significance of these matters and how important these conversations are to have. So instead, you'll find that I'll have these kind of conversations with people who are my age, who share the mind state, or people who are older and believe that a change needs to come.
Oh, fantastic. Ntsika, here in the studio with the Deputy Minister, Bogopane-Zulu. We're going to carry on the conversation after the break. But of course, if you want to call us and have a conversation on these issues, you can give us a ring on 010-594-5140. Let's take a break now. And welcome back to Your View with me, JJ Tabane. We are launching our Human Rights Month focus today. Of course, with that beautiful song, Bambelela by Ntsika. It's playing for the first time on television here on Your View. And of course, we'll be talking some more about it just now. You can give us a ring, of course, if you want to discuss, on 010-594-5140. And of course, by the way, after this conversation at the top of the next hour, Kevin Padzo joining me to talk about issues related to the MK Veterans Conference that's coming up. And of course, we end the day with the CEO of the Human Rights Commission, as in keeping with tonight's theme. Minister, this song, how are you going to mobilize it to get the young people to really focus on things that matter, things that will make them better?
We've had 9 boys' assemblies, and we launched the song last week in Pongola at the boys' assembly for KwaZulu-Natal. We played it again yesterday for the boys' assembly in Gauteng. We've played it in schools to just test how young people are responding
to it.
And I must say that the fact that he raps positively, it is an amazing song. It gives young people the opportunity to really look at their lives. And we, as the department, our programs are about behavioral change. So it's not something you measure today. We are investing on the boys today to harvest tomorrow. So because it's about behavioral change, you should see they really listen to the song, because it says to them, it doesn't matter how hard the road could be, but it also reminds them of their responsibilities. As we talk Human Rights Month, this song tells them about their responsibilities and their rights, and finds the balance. And reminds the young boys that, look, no matter how hard it can be, drugs can never be the solution. No matter how hard, bambelela to that one thing that is positive in your life. And as a department, that's what made us take a decision that this is the song that we dedicate to the boys. It is the song that we want every South African boy to sing. And we've got a whole plan rolled out. Once we do the Free State as the last province, we'll be starting with the district boys' assemblies, local boys' assemblies, ward-based boys' assemblies, street-based boys' assemblies, because we are going all the way to actually ensure that South Africa is going to have a different breed of men.
Beyond the song itself, Ntsika, how do you think we should try and reach young people? Because the assemblies are fine, but only so many people can be in an assembly. I don't know how many people we had in the previous assemblies, maybe 200, 300 people, I don't know.
700.
Right? But 700 in a context of some 30 million young people, right? It becomes a drop in the ocean unless you do something else outside the assemblies. What could that be, Ntsika?
That could be to continue our campaign that we have started, the hashtag Bambelela campaign, which is an initiative that spreads goodwill. As the minister has said, we go around to schools, we go around to old age homes, and we go around to places where we feel the message of Bambelela is needed. And it's also a brilliant move by the department to use someone who is actually young to speak to young people, because you'll find that when I open my mouth to speak to my counterparts, they're more likely to listen and understand, because we are experiencing these issues at about the same time.
So it's more like peer education.
Exactly, as opposed to perhaps a conversation with an older person who might not see things the way that you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's go to the lines now. Kabelo in Mpumalanga, good evening.
Good evening, JJ Tabane. I'm very much excited about what the minister was saying, because that's exactly what we've been preaching. I've been running an organization for 4 years now that focuses on the reconstruction of how we socialize the boy child in order to have better men. And I think what the minister was emphasizing about how we expect men to be better when we never nurtured the boy child in the early stages is very critical. Because you can't expect a Kabelo to behave better, have healthy masculinity in his 20s, when you never planted anything when he was 9, when he was 10 or 15. But there's a only issue that I want to highlight to Mezulu, which is that often social development offices, whether they're national or provincial, every time you knock on their doors or they talk about funds that are available for such kind of movement, there's always a question of kickbacks. People will tell you that you can access about $1 million to 1.5 to try and access more or reach out to more boys. But you will always be told off, if this is how much we're going to give you. We are normalizing corruption even in areas where it's never about the person who's having the initiative, but about the impact we must have within our society, particularly in the villages and the townships.
Minister, a very important issue there that was raising earlier on about resources dedicated to this kind of work. Now, another angle is being raised there by Kabelo, that you've got people in social development who wants to put their hand in there. So they'll give you $1 million, but they say, no, can I have 300 under the table? So, how are you clamping down on this kind of thing?
It is only through those that experience it that needs to talk about it. Otherwise, we will become a department that's now doing witch hunting. When you experience that as a member of the community, as an NPO that needs to be funded, and I need to indicate that we have Takuani Riime as the umbrella leader for the programs. And the reason why we did that, the president launched Takuani Riime, which is a vendor word for Let's Stand Together. And we added, as a department, we said, institutionalizing a responsive men and boys movement. Now, I want to say, whenever somebody wants a kickback on a funding, and whenever you experience or you hear such, you have an obligation. We're there. You don't need a secretary. We're there in social media. Hendrietta Ipeleng Bogopane-Zulu. Inbox, we respond, and we take it from there. But also, do an anonymous call to 0800 428 428. And that is the number that should be on every South African speed dial, 0800 428 428. Because it's also not only corruption, it is the line that is your first entry to social development. When you see abuse happening, when you see hungry families, when you see gender-based violence, when you see children walking to school without shoes, that is the number to get hold of us, and a social worker will be on the other side of the line.
Kabelo, your last bite.
Okay, how are we going to access Takuruani on a municipal level? Because I do understand it was launched in 2018, but we don't see them anyway. I understand also that the assembly was hosted in KZN. But how are we going to ensure that somebody who is in Limpopo or Mpumalanga or Free State can access them, to work with them, and ensure that we reach out to many more boy children within our vicinity?
Briefly, the Minister.
You can inbox me, Kabelo. Takuani Riime is everywhere. The department is putting money in them. They are everywhere. You can get them everywhere. We were in Limpopo with them just last week, and they are an umbrella. You retain your own identity as an organization. We're trying to say, let's work together for better impact. So get